Hi, everybody. This is Mike Gaffney at SpecRite. We are going to get started here in a minute. We are just waiting for the last few folks to log on. So just hang tight for 30 seconds and we'll get going.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning and good afternoon to everyone. I appreciate everybody attending today from across the globe. I've been speaking with packaging leaders about their priorities given the COVID-19 outbreak as of recently. And one thing's clear, sustainability is still a top priority. Today, I'd like to share learnings and best practices about how to enable sustainability. And all participants today will be on mute, but please ask your questions in the live chat section. And also, if we don't get to them today, within 24 hours, we'll make sure we'll get back to you with the answers. And we also would like to know at the conclusion, what are your biggest challenges that you're facing right now if we don't cover them in today's information? But first, I'd like to do a quick introduction of Mike and myself. Mike Gaffney is our Chief Operating Officer. He's held various leadership roles and was employee number 20 at Salesforce, and we're glad to have Mike on our team. I'm Matthew Wright, the founder and CEO of SpecRite. I've been in the packaging business for over 20 years and seen the evolution of sustainability from an interesting idea to a nice to have to today a must have. Most of us have talked about sustainability on and off again, but really I want sustainability to be something that happens and progress to be made naturally. Today we're going to have a very focused agenda and really try to get to the meat of the information quickly and succinctly. Today we're going to cover three different issues. One is the state of sustainability and talk through what we've learned and what we're hearing. The second step is the 3 steps to make sustainability a reality. It's a passion of mine not to just keep talking about it, but to really make this be tangible outcomes. And then really the meat of the conversation is going to be getting into the live demo and talking about use cases and how to facilitate sustainability as an outcome. What you won't see on the agenda is our opinion of sustainability and weighing in on that. Rather, we'll leave that up to you and your company. But what we want to do is once you figure that out, we want to empower you to make great things happen. One thing I've always said about sustainability is how can you be sustainable if you don't know what you have or what something's made of or where it comes from? Companies across all industries, I think, are really beginning to understand the importance of specifications as the first step or the foundation for sustainability. What we're noticing and working with CPG companies like Soylent, food companies like Flower Foods, beauty companies like Rodan & Fields, that across the board, they're all using specifications to power sustainability within their organizations and having great outcomes and effects. One of the core visions of SpecRite is that we enable or empower our clients to go back and do great and amazing things and in sustainability, look for better supply tracks or better products to make your products more sustainable. We not only know from speaking with our customers, but also surveying. We have access to hundreds of professionals across packaging, product development, quality, and others about the state of sustainability and get their thoughts of how they're going about it or what they're seeing. I just want to share a couple excerpts, a couple brief slides about it so it kind of set the tone as we go forward. I think what's particularly exciting is that being somebody that's from the packaging industry, the packaging leads the way in terms of sustainability. As you see in the graph, about 66, 67% of that being the focus for sustainability in the company. We know that it's been the case for many years. The packaging is always thought of kind of as the last line when somebody needs packaging to get product to shelf. But what's exciting about sustainability is that we're really taking a seat at the table. We now have the attention of the C-suite and the focus and resources and energy that enable and empower specification to empower sustainability. Now we're expected to lead the way when it comes to sustainability, and I think that's where our opportunity presents itself. So you also look at kind of what are people attacking when they're talking about sustainability. And we really look again at the DNA level data and the metrics that they use to track this. We all know that there's many facets to sustainability. We could probably name more than this, but there's definitely materials, the energy to produce those materials, the energy to get the product to and from places, and so forth. But the overwhelming metric that everybody's focused in on right now is material usage. And that's become so important. And material usage definitely ties itself back to the spec at the DNA level of product. Consumers want to know what's in their product and what's in the packaging, how it's sourced, where it's coming from, and where it's going to. And then again, you need that low-level DNA spec data to be able to track and understand that information flow and understand if it is sustainable, and if it isn't, how it can be sustainable. I don't think this slide would surprise anybody on the call, with an overwhelming majority of respondents saying that the tools that they use today are Excel spreadsheets, email, maybe shared docs. But the reality that many are passing spreadsheets back and forth to share data or pulling data from a variety of sources is not in of itself sustainable and is not repetitive. Clients like Flower Foods said it took over 40 hours historically to pull one report together. And that report historically would be dead the minute it was delivered, as data had changed. Today, Flower Foods feels very empowered because they literally are allowing themselves to get the same data live and within a couple clicks, and then actually proactively provide that data without even being asked about it. Again, I don't think this slide will surprise anybody, but how is how's the process happening today in our everyday life? And what are the steps that it usually takes? We know it always starts with a question, whether it's questions coming from your supply base, your vendor base, or your supply base. The CEO asks a question, wants to know how much PET you're using. Is that better than last year? What's our goal for next year? How much virgin plastic or fiber has been purchased this year? So it starts with a question, and therefore the activity goes from there. This then triggers a chain of emails, as we just mentioned. That's typically the method of which this happens. And phone calls, asking to confirm the information, asking different people to provide the information. Everybody's sending it in, someone in different formats. And people are spending days, if not weeks, if not months, trying to put together this picture to answer the question which started the process. Then you have to compile all the spreadsheets from different suppliers and different sources, scrub the data to make sure it's right. And I can almost guarantee you in every case there's going to be conflicting data. Then the question becomes which data is correct, and therefore the process goes on. Finally, you have to enrich the data with data from other systems, like perhaps your own internal ERP systems or PO systems. The common theme there is manual data collection to paint this picture. Again, it takes away from time that you could be designing sustainable packaging. You could be finding a closer source of origin. You could be finding a product that can be smaller and more sustainable. And after weeks and months, this data is ready to compile and complete an LCA or report on a particular metric. So that process that you just defined or just defined there depends on the system or the question that started it from, but typically it's a very long and arduous process. And then when that process is over and the next question gets asked, it gets repeated. I think the real criticality here is that the months and days it takes to recreate this, it's redone each time, and you cannot digitize or you cannot operationalize this and track progress over time. The first question and the last question typically don't get linked together, and therefore we continue to do this over and over again because the data is not live and isn't actionable at your fingertips. What's interesting is when I designed and started SpecRite, it was not built as a sustainability solutions platform. Rather, it was a spec data management platform focused on many areas of improving our clients' experience in packaging and product and information flow. But what was quickly realized is to be sustainable, you really needed to understand your spec. And when you did have a good spec data management system, the opportunity, the outcome of that became a very good sustainability platform because it got to the DNA level It knew what products were made of. It interchanged and linked data trails together to create one spec shared in many different ways. And at the end of the day, it really became a powerful sustainability tool in addition to many others, things that it can do. What's really great is as you drive this, it makes a change rapidly possible. It allows data to be live, people to view that data, and stuff to be happening without questions being asked. I think the management of underlying specifications is really the foundation for sustainability in your strategies. Again, as I started out with, how can you be sustainable if we don't have that core DNA data available at our fingertips, live and updated at every moment? I think that we have to now get very granular. How do we make it a reality and just stop talking about wanting to be sustainable? What are the steps that enable you to do that? And so we're going to walk through kind of 3 basic steps, and then we're going to do a demo to let you get in a lot more detail. But we really started at the digitization level, which is pulling that data in from multiple, perhaps different sources, cleaning that data, organizing that data, and making that data live. And that is the first step, to make sure you're capturing this data that you need to report on to make sure the data is accurate and give visibility and accessibility to those that need it. The second step is to map those specs together, and that's really where I think things became very interesting at SpecRite and Spec Data Management, is the many-to-many relationship technology that we've built that allows great visibility with very few specs and great clarity and therefore great action quickly. The third step is to operationalize. Make that real to you. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're not going to define sustainability for you as a company, but rather we're going to listen to your definition of what you believe sustainability is and needs to be, and we're then going to take that and turn it into a tool that works for you proactively. So you can keep data alive, build on it, create logic, know who needs it, when they need it, link it to other systems, and so that one spec is empowering a lot of information through the process. And in doing all this, the real key goal is to allow you to take back the time you need to become innovative, bring great products, great sustainability to the forefront, and make things great. So I appreciate your time, and what I'm going to let Mike do is really get into the meat of the system and talk about how this application can work for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Matthew. So everybody should be seeing my screen right now, and you're looking at the SpecRite platform, specifically a sustainability dashboard on the sustainability tab. So we are currently in a food and beverage demo organization. So some of the nomenclature is going to be more relevant to food and beverage. So you see ingredients and formula, quality, packaging, finished goods, for example. We work across multiple industries: consumer goods, durable goods, food and beverage, chemicals, automotive, just to give you an idea. But as Matthew mentioned, all of your data and certainly your sustainability initiatives should not be a one-time affair. So all of the data you're looking at right now is in real time and can be drilled down for further detail. So if a change is made to a raw material or component part, that could have an impact on your sustainability initiatives across your product portfolio. You don't want to learn about that 3, 6, or 12 months later. You're going to be able to get the visibility of that right away. So our efforts are really focused, and this dashboard, including this dashboard, is really focused around packaging for the time being. The near-term roadmap has us expanding our sustainability initiatives into logistics and facilities and ingredients and formulas, for example. So right now I'm looking at things, this dashboard for recycled content by my corrugated packaging, across my bottle recyclability, my flexible packaging. The widgets on the dashboard below that are a similar cut of data, but by product type and brand. So if I want to drill down into any one of these for further detail, I can. You see that I'm brought over to the report tab for the corrugated packaging by recycled content. Everything is going to be very configurable in terms of how you can cut and slice the data, how you can view it. There's no programming involved, a lot of the out-of-the-box templates that you can leverage. So let's say I want to drill down on just a subset of this data. I can sort any of this information by the columns, just like I would in Excel. So it's very easy to navigate. But let's say I want to go down to this frozen cookie dough packaging component. From there, I can drill down all the way down to the spec level, from dashboard to report, all the way down to the detailed specification. Now, everything related to this spec is going to be one click away. Any artwork or relevant files, any finished goods it's related to, all of its dimensions, shipping information. And you see down here, I have information related to purchasing information and purchase order information that we can easily integrate with your financial records of truth, be it your ERP systems or other. You notice down here, I have a subsection for sustainability metrics. Now, these can be updated either manually or it could be updated via integrations with existing systems. Well, let's say for the purpose, I'm just going to update some of this information here manually. I'm going to click Save. You see that I'm given an error message here because this does not align with our global sustainability goals. The packaging spec needs to be either recyclable or reusable. This is just one example of the built-in guardrails and intelligence that you can build into the system to enforce certain behaviors, and so to keep data integrity, and therefore those reports and dashboards that you're surfacing have a higher level of fidelity. I'm going to switch gears and go over to our cosmetics demo. You see a slightly different theme up here. But again, I'm on the report tab for our cosmetics demo, and I'm looking at a report for finished goods that include component parts as well as the average recycled content of those component parts and finished goods. I want to see this in a little bit more of a different cut, so I'm just going to change the graph here. Let's say I'm only interested in one of these specific finished goods, the dual intensive acne treatment. So I'm going to drill down into that data. And now I have all of the component parts that roll up into this finished good. But I'm going to jump into one of the component parts before I go directly to the finished goods. So let's say I want to go into this packaging component. Again, everything related to this packaging component is going to be one click away, all of its dimensions, where it's being used. You see it's not only being used in the dual intensive acne treatment finished good, but it's in two other finished goods. I see the raw materials that make up this component. And you also see that I have some sustainability information here. In this case, in this example, carbon per unit, water use per unit, CO2 per unit. And this is a roll up from the actual raw material. So if I want to go back all the way down to the foundational element, and this is really what makes SpecRite different from every system out in the market today, is really capturing the most granular DNA information at the spec level. So if I go all the way down to the raw material, you see that I'm capturing things like carbon per gram, CO2 emissions per gram. Now, these could be actual numbers that you have. You may not have the actual. You may just want to use averages in here. Again, we leave that up to the discretion of our customers of at what level they want to measure this, and that can evolve over time as they get more access to more information. But there's different areas where you can start. So capturing this information all the way at the raw material. I'm going to click quickly back to the component part that I was previously on, just showing that how having all of this information in one single source of truth is what we hear the most that they like about the SpecRite platform. There's many things that they like. They have a lot of this information, but it lives in silos. It lives in shared drives, in Excel spreadsheets. It lives partially in ERP systems. They don't have one holistic view like they can capture in SpecRite. And if anything, during the COVID-19 work from home change in the new normal, we've seen usage of our platform skyrocket because it's one single source to get all of their product and manufacturing and supplier and sustainability and quality information in one place. But if I click on the finished good item, you see that I'm brought over to the finished good. Similar to the other pages like I was on, the raw materials or the component part, everything is going to be one click away that's related to this finished good. And here you see that sustainability section, which is a roll up of all of the units that I'm capturing at the raw material level and to the component parts. If I scroll down here, you see that there's 6 component parts, each that have their own related raw materials that roll up into that component part, that roll up into this finished good. So you can get very granular in your measurement of your specifications, and that ultimately has a downstream impact to the measurements you're doing on your sustainability front. One last thing I wanted to show is, as I mentioned at the top of the demo, are most of the capabilities in the platform today are around packaging, but we do lots of other things in terms of quality management, supplier management, and we will be expanding our sustainability efforts to encompass things more holistically around the supply chain. So this is a capability that a lot of people today, as they search for alternative suppliers or secondary suppliers, they've had a disruption due to the current pandemic to their supply chain. But you can see how this functionality would be easily incorporated into sustainability, in the sense that if I'm based in Tacoma and I'm sourcing materials, raw materials or component parts from Portland, I all of a sudden have to go to a secondary supplier that's based in Bend, Oregon. Well, the additional 100 gallons of diesel used to make that trip to my headquarters is obviously going to impact the sustainability of that specification, that raw material, that component part, which is going to, in real time, have an impact across my portfolio. So you can see a lot of the underlying logic and workflow that we have in the system as it relates to packaging and sustainability is going to be extendable to the rest of the platform. So that is the quick overview. We just kind of scratched the surface on the sustainability capabilities. We do have several questions coming across the chat, and Matthew, I'll take the first couple here. There's a question as it relates to reporting. These reports and dashboards look great. How do you get started? A lot of the reports and dashboards that we're showing you here, we do have pre-built templates all the way down to the specification level, to the component level, to the packaging level. But we also have some out-of-the-box templates for reports and dashboards. During the setup and configuration phase, we can help build out these on your behalf. It's very easy to manipulate these yourselves. So it's very easy to get started on the reporting and dashboard front. Another question, I'm just going to cherry pick here because it's related to reporting. Is there a way to automate some of these reports? And there is. In fact, if I'm currently on the home page right now of my SpecRite login, and depending on my persona, my department, that's going to determine what view in the data I have, what tabs I'm going to see at the top. It also might dictate what extracts of reports or dashboards I see on my home page. All of these reports and dashboards can also be set up to be automatically sent to people's inboxes on a daily or weekly basis. I can subscribe to certain reports. So not only can they be delivered, these reports, within the platform, it can be easily shared outside of the platform as well.
Yeah, Mike, I'll grab one here. One we kind of hear often: our data is all over the place. What other systems do you need to connect to get some of these dashboards or data? You know, it varies. The SpecRite platform, in many cases, is used as a standalone solution. In a lot of clients' cases, they integrate it with ERPs, perhaps to pull purchasing data, pricing into create a fuller picture. Inventory management is another system we've integrated with, or systems, so that when you're going to make a change, you kind of know when that timeline is that you can make that change, what you're going to affect in making those changes. So what's really great about today's technology, SpecRite obviously leading in the forefront of that, is that you have really these open APIs and stacks that allow integrations in both directions, either pushing data from SpecRite into perhaps a system you want to have visibility, or conversely pulling parts of the picture into SpecRite. So great question. I'm going to grab another one that's somewhat similar, and I'll explain. How can you work with suppliers in SpecRite on sustainability. The core of SpecRite, back to Spec Data Management, is really this open, collaborating, sharing platform, letting you give accessibility to suppliers, to testing labs, to other members of your team, really how you want them to use the system, the authorization of the kind of information you want them to see, so they can come in, grab the picture they need to work from, and you're not pushing spreadsheets and information back and forth through email. So very robust in that regard, both from pulling data into the system and populating it, as well as, quite frankly, just having an ongoing relationship with your vendors in sustainability. So I'll take a pause there because we'd like to give time back. We have several other questions. We promise to get those answers back, as I started out with earlier. Again, appreciate everybody's time from all sorts of amazing places. You all represent great companies. Enjoy the products that you make as a team here at SpecRite. The whole team is focused on making sustainability a reality for our clients. We really don't look at this as a project, rather turn it into a natural event in order to give you time back in your day to do great, amazing things for your company and yourself. So thank you all. Feel free to reach out to anyone at SpecRite, including Mike or I, and please stay safe and stay well.